Welcome to Beyond the Game on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I am Jake Volk. Sitting across from me, Brandon Johnson, Dominic Arbolino, and Eric Fischetti. Guys, what's good?
So far, so good.
Everything is going
very
great.
Eventful week.
Yeah, very eventful.
A lot to talk about.
That's putting it lightly. Oh my goodness gracious.
Blockbuster trades, all that good stuff.
Who knew August in sports could be so exciting?
Yeah, we didn't
Seriously.
expect it, of course.
The number to call if you have something on your mind is 516-572-7440. And we'll start with baseball. Yesterday, the Yankee-Tiger game got just a little bit heated as there were 3 bench-clearing brawls, 4 hit batsmen, and 8 ejections. The Tigers won the game by a score of 10-6, by the way. Not that anyone cares about the score. No one's talking about that.
Boston lost, so it's okay.
Yeah, I was going to say, they lost 13-6 to the Indians.
Good.
Eric, what are your thoughts on this melee?
Okay, so let me just say, first of all, when Joe Girardi had his press conference at the end of the game, he said that this was the worst umpiring crew this year so far, and I totally agree with him. And let me just say, I don't know if you guys seen the game, but Michael Fulmer was pitching, former Mets prospect. Dominic, I see you over there. Mm-hmm. And Fulmer was pitching to Sanchez at his first at-bat. Sanchez hit a long home run. He's been on fire. He's probably the best Yankee hitter right now. He's definitely the best Yankee hitter right now. And on Sanchez's second at-bat, Fulmer nails him in the stomach. And there was no warning. That was their first mistake. And then, I don't remember who was, how could I forget? Miguel Cabrera comes up and Romine's catching, right? And they get in each other's face, and Miggy pushes Romine, and things just start, happening. Everything's happening at once. Romine tackled him to a ground. And I don't care what anyone says. Romine won that fight.
No, he didn't.
Romine won that fight.
He couldn't even get He didn't even land a punch on him.
He landed 4 on him.
He landed soft body shots. Cabrera tackled him to the ground.
But there was a certain angle that Major League Baseball had. It was behind the mound. Gregorius is talking to Chapman, and you can see Cabrera and Romine in the distance. You can see them punching. And, pushing, excuse me.
That's pushing. Yeah.
And everyone's running up. And the one thing that I didn't see before was Gary Sanchez, who wasn't even on the field, came from the dugout and landed a cheap shot. Not on Cabrera. I don't know if you know this, Jacob. He hit Castellanos.
Is that who he ended up hitting?
He hit Castellanos, a defenseless player. It's a horrible look for you as a player, and it looks bad.
Hey.
It looks 100% bad. And Sanchez, I don't want to be biased because I'm a Yankee fan. I love Gary Sanchez, but he deserves to get suspended.
No question about that.
Also, I don't even think he got ejected. I looked at there was
he didn't
a list.
get ejected.
Yeah, he didn't get ejected.
Well, during the melee, there was so much going on that you can't keep everything straight.
Of course, yeah, that's true too.
I mean, that's why I'm glad that MLB is going to take the appropriate action, because baseball's going to crack down on this.
Yeah, but it's not like it happened once. It was twice in the game.
3 times.
Oh, 3.
Two more times, you mean?
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, sorry.
3 times total is what we're
it's
trying to
despicable, man. You guys are professionals. You shouldn't be playing like that. You know what I mean?
No, of course not.
If you get hit by a pitch, especially if it's on purpose, because if you see guys do it intentionally and they have a smirk on their face, I mean, that's not cool at all.
See, now, I don't think that Fulmer hitting Sanchez was intentional. I really don't. Look how Fulmer acted right afterwards. He was jumping up and down. He was shaking his hand. The manager came out. The trainer came out. That's not what would have happened if it was on purpose. It's not. Unless this was an elaborate ruse, it was a clearly accidental act in my eyes. I know people are saying it was on purpose. I don't think it was. I mean, I can go down the list here. The biggest mistakes the umpires made, there were 2 that really caught my eye. Canely should not have been ejected for throwing behind Cabrera.
Because he didn't hit him.
Correct. And that was retribution for Fulmer hitting Sanchez. You can throw behind the guy. You know what you do if you're the umpire? You issue warnings. That's what you do. Number 2, Robertson needed to have been ejected for hitting John Hicks. That was unacceptable in my eyes. What's the point in issuing warnings if you're not going to enforce them?
It's true.
You got to hold people accountable.
I agree, but there's a thing that goes on in players' minds. When your teammate gets hit, your instinct is, I got to stand up for my teammate. You have to, but there's a line. Because, first off, I think that there should have been a warning after Sanchez got hit. That should, because do you remember there was a series in the Bronx with the Yankees and the Tigers where Matuk got hit twice?
Yeah, that had nothing to do with it.
I know, but it's just like a coincidence. It probably didn't mean anything, but it's probably in the back of the player's mind because the umpires didn't really issue warnings after the Sanchez hit because they probably didn't know what happened in New York. But even when Romine and Cabrera were going at it, the ump wasn't paying attention.
No, the whole crew did a horrible job in that game.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes,
Joe Girardi
without a doubt.
had every right to be upset afterwards. There's no question about that. I mean, it was a disgraceful display. You can't be acting like that.
No, you can't.
The notion that you're trying to defend your teammate, I totally get it. Baseball is an eye for an eye sport. But at the end of the day, we just can't condone this sort of violence, and that's what this is. This is violence.
And you know what? It's despicable when guys just randomly just hit people for no reason. You know what I mean? Just because everyone's getting involved in the brawl and they just go out there and just want to have someone to punch. I mean, that's not cool at all. I don't think that's the right way to go about things. You try to break up fights, if anything.
Right, and the bottom line was Sanchez hit a defenseless player, and it looks horrible on him.
Yeah.
And the fact that no one saw that and he was still in the game shocked me.
Can I ask you a question? Did you see it right away?
No.
There we go.
No, I didn't see it, but obviously when they slow it down, obviously we can see it because, we're watching it on TV and baseball has all these angles. But that's something that I think that the Major League Baseball should look at. They should look at when stuff like this happens, you need to see it from all angles so you can handle it accordingly.
No question about that. Sanchez will be suspended. Cabrera will be suspended.
I don't think Romine should be suspended.
Romine might get a game. He might get two.
He still got in a scuffle with him. So
but he was defending himself, and he didn't throw the first punch. Mickey did.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't think it'll be anything too bad. It'll be a slap on the wrist. I mean, it would be games he wouldn't play anyway. Think of it that way. I mean...
But then if Gary Sanchez is suspended as well, he'd probably be playing those games, right?
Yeah.
Or
they would have to call up Higashioka then, right?
Yeah. Well, you know what you do? You have Romine serve his suspension while Sanchez is going through the appeals process. There. That's the fix. I just
Easier
solved
said
it.
than done, though.
And I mean, the MLB is not going to be able to fix the fights. I definitely know that for a fact. It's not going to happen. But
Oh, no question about that.
I think one thing is it's just like you got to condone on like all the extra stuff happening. I think that's the key.
But
I agree with you.
But the thing that bothers me is that the Tigers are in a lost season right now, too, as I keep saying about these teams that are at the bottom of the barrel right now. They're like 15 games back in the division. And the Yankees are in the middle of the race, and especially when you're in the middle of a race like that, you have to don't let yourself get out of hand, too, which is what Sanchez let happen.
We do have a caller on the line. Caller, you were on Beyond the Game.
Hi, guys. I noticed you didn't mention anything about the Panthers hitting McCann in the head.
Yeah,
that's true.
I was going to get to that. That was horrible. Dellin Betances should be suspended for at least 5 games, maybe even more. 10, I wouldn't be too upset with. That was horrible.
I just don't get the way how he reacted, too. Obviously, it's not intentional when you hit someone like that, but he hit McCann in the head.
No, I think that was intentional.
You don't think that was intentional?
I think it was.
No, I'm saying from the way he acted, it made it seem like that it wasn't intentional.
Yeah,
I can't agree or disagree, but it just looks bad no matter how you look at it. When you hit a player in the head with a 90 to 95 mile per hour fastball, it looks horrible.
Maybe even a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. We've seen Betances throw that.
Yeah.
So
well, he'll probably get his suspension and cut in half like they all do, and they'll take it from there.
So what's on your mind, Jim from Montauk?
Yeah, it was just basically, like you had mentioned before, I was standing there watching the umpire, the home plate umpire, who I believe is a rookie. Standing there doing absolutely nothing. In fact, he's backing away from everything instead of trying to break anything up.
He was looking.
It just drove me up a wall.
The umpires did a horrible job of controlling that game. It's one thing when the bench is clear, the bullpen's empty, the umpires are supposed to get out of the way and let the players sort it out themselves and play peacemaker. But to let it get to that point is a failure by the umpires. And Dana DeMuth should know better than that because at the end of the day, he's the crew chief.
Yeah.
And this has happened.
And he's a good umpire, too. Go ahead, Eric.
This has happened before, way before, well, I don't know about way before, but in the 90s when, I always see this on YouTube, where Armando Benitez drilled Tino Martinez in the back, and it spilled into the dugout.
Darryl Strawberry went after Benitez.
So, Graham Lloyd, I think, was in that too.
Yep.
It was thankfully, that doesn't happen anymore. Thankfully, because that was worse. But at that point, when you're an umpire, what do? I'm serious. Like, do you have to get in there into the scuffle and break it off piece by piece, or do you let the veterans do it?
Like, let the players do it. That's what you do. When you take a look at the history of fights in baseball, I'll even go further back. Nolan Ryan versus Robin Ventura.
Mm-hmm.
The umpires weren't getting involved. Pete Rose versus Bud Harrelson. Umpires weren't getting involved. The umpires are supposed to stand back and let the players deal with it themselves. The umpires are not the peacemakers.
And another fight, too. I forgot who he went up against. It was 86 Mets, I think Rangers, too. It was Ray Knight at third base. I forgot who he went up against, but the umps didn't get up in that, too.
I don't remember off the top of my head. You know, the last time I can remember something like this happening, it was Johnny Cueto was pinned up against the net behind home plate, and he was kicking anyone who was moving. Remember that a couple years ago, Eric?
I can't say I do.
Any of you guys remember?
I'm pretty sure if I see it, I'll remember it.
Jim, you remember that fight?
I remember, but I honestly don't remember who was involved in it.
I remember Cueto. I don't remember anyone else.
Yeah.
And this can always go back to like the Yankee-Red Sox brawls, like in 2004, A-Rod and Varitek, Don Zimmer and Pedro Martinez. Like it's a lot of stuff that this needs to crack. That I'm not going to say it needs to stop because baseball's weird because instincts get in the way all the time. But Jacob, as you put it, it's an eye for an eye sport, and it's just something that baseball just needs to crack down on. I'm not going to say get rid of it totally because that's not going to happen, but you have to moderate it.
Yep.
You also have to get the umpires to give a warning before it's too late.
100%.
That's what I said before. There should have been a warning after the Sanchez hit.
Yep, definitely.
Because
that's on the home plate umpire.
Let me ask you something. Isn't there a coincidence that right after his first at-bat with the home run, he gets drilled in the stomach?
I think that was just accidental. I really do.
I disagree with you, Jacob. I think that was definitely after.
Look how Fulmer reacted afterwards. Those are not the actions of a guilty man. It's just
look at Betances after he nailed him in the head. That doesn't look like a guilty man either.
Betances walked towards McCann. He wasn't jumping up and down and waving his hand around, Jim. I mean, come on. And at the end of the day, the only people who really know are the players themselves. I can only say what I think. You guys can only say what you think. The only people who know are the players. That's all.
True.
That's all there is to it. That was a good call from Jim from Wantagh here on Beyond the Game on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I am Jacob Volk. Sitting across from me, Brandon Johnson, Dominic Arbolino, and Eric Fischetti. Number to call, if you have something on your mind, is 516-572-7440. And let's get to basketball. The Cavaliers traded Kyrie Irving to the Celtics. Brandon, I know you're itching to get into it.
Hey, man. No, finish what you're saying, Jake.
No, go ahead.
All right, so when this trade went down, the first thing I'm thinking to my mind is another championship run by LeBron. Regardless of where Kyrie went, he's getting another point guard in return. I'm not saying that losing Kyrie is going to hurt because I think he's a stud, man. You know what I'm saying? What he was able to do in the playoffs during the regular season, his playmaking ability, his finishes at the basket. I mean, Isaiah can do the same thing, but you're getting a great trade. You got Isaiah, Jay Crowder, and Ante Zizic, I think his name is.
Who people are really high on.
Okay, and Brooklyn Nets first-round pick, but we don't know how the Brooklyn Nets are going to play. Dom, you said playoff team this year.
I still love that, by the way.
8 seed. Like I'm not crazy.
I'll
No. That's
Understandable.
different because look at the East,
Yeah,
as you put it.
I'll take the 8 seed.
We will take that pick. You know what I mean? The Cavs will take that pick. Who knows what it's going to be? But LeBron, he likes veteran players on his team, and I think having Isaiah, a guy who could be MVP from last year, he still can put up 20-plus points per game. You got a guy in Derrick Rose on your team. You got Jeff Green, another seasoned veteran. JR and Iman still going to play the same. I mean, but is Kyrie Irving going to step up and actually be the leader of that team? That's why I asked myself.
There are people saying that the Celtics are now a legitimate contender for the NBA title. They were before, but they weren't going to beat the Cavs. I still don't think they're going to beat the Cavs.
Of course not.
I mean, I saw people saying that the Celtics won this trade. Yeah, they got the best player in the deal, but you take a look at what the Cavs got. They got Isaiah Thomas. Excellent piece for LeBron. I could see those guys working well tremendously.
And you don't have to pay him, too, after this year if you don't want him.
You're 100% right. You got Jay Crowder, who's a really good wing player.
Yeah.
I like Crowder. And, going back to what you said about Thomas, the Nets pick might be a high pick. They could take a point guard in the draft and be set.
It's true.
I mean, the Cavs don't have too many young players.
No, they don't.
They're
That's
a veteran
the problem.
team.
I just don't understand that still at the same time. It's like LeBron doesn't want guys to come to the team and develop. Like, remember when the Andrew Wiggins trade went down? Imagine him on that team now.
That'd be scary. And now Kevin Love might still be gone.
Yeah.
Who knows? If LeBron leaves, I don't think Kevin Love stays in Cleveland.
Nah, I don't think so either.
Now let me ask you something. Out of all these trades that went down so far, like Jimmy Butler to Minnesota, Kyrie and Gordon Hayward in Boston, although Gordon Hayward wasn't